This is an African news update on top ACCOLADE news. The headlines: Ghana reignites Anti-LGBTQ plus bill. Mauritania ex-president Aziz gets 15 years for corruption. Ivory Coast PDCI re-elects Thiam. AFDB hosts DBN delegation. We start with the focus in politics. Ghana reignites anti-LGBTQ plus bill. Ghana's parliament has reignited fierce debate by reintroducing its controversial anti-LGBTQ plus bill, which proposes prison sentences for same-sex relationship and support for LGBTQ plus rights. Known as the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, it has drawn strong local support but widespread international condemnation. President John Mohamed has vowed to enact the bill, while right groups warn it could worsen violence and discrimination against Ghana's queer community. Amnesty Report describes LGBTQ plus individuals fleeing the country in fear, citing harassment, abuse, and even death threat. With International Day Against Homophobia approaching, activists and legal experts are urging Ghana to reconsider the bill, calling it a violation of basic human rights and constitutional freedom. Still in politics, Mauritania ex-president Aziz gets 15 years for corruption. A Mauritanian appeal court has sentenced former President Mohamed Ould Abdel Aziz to 15 years in prison and fined him $3 million on corruption charges, escalating his 2023 sentence. Aziz, a former general who seized power in two coups and ruled from 2009 to 2019, was convicted for amassing over $70 million through money laundering and illicit self-enrichment. The case marks a rare instance of an African leader being held accountable for corruption while in office. The court also upheld charges against his son-in-law, dissolved a foundation linked to his family, and seized its assets. Aziz's legal team calls the case politically motivated, tied to a fallout with the current president, who was once his ally. The sentences comes as Mauritania, rich in natural resources yet plagued by poverty, struggles to solidify democratic norms and tackle high-level corruption. Moving on in politics, Ivory Coast PDCI re-elects Thiam. Ivory Coast's main opposition party, the PDCI, has launched a nationwide and diaspora vote to re-elect a new leader just months after Tidjane Thiam was forced to step down due to holding dual nationality. Although elected in December 2023, Thiam was still a French citizen, violating party rules that require the leader to hold only Ivorian nationality. In a strategic move, the PDCI is staging fresh votes, with Thiam, who renounced his French citizenship in March, now the sole candidate to succeed himself. Let us look at a video where he renounced the citizenship.
Bonjour. Comme vous le savez, en tant que président du PDCI RDA, je suis candidat à l'élection présidentielle de Côte d'Ivoire en 2025. Nous avons donc effectué ce matin, en compagnie de mes conseils, une démarche importante dans ce processus et qui était dans le calendrier de mon programme et de mon action et qui est prévu de longue date, qui a consisté à aller déposer ma demande donc de libération de la nationalité française, qui me permettra d'être exclusivement de nationalité ivoirienne au moment de l'élection, ce qui est une condition d'éligibilité. Donc je renouvelle ici mon engagement à œuvrer pour un véritable changement en Côte d'Ivoire, pour que les conditions de vie des Ivoiriennes et des Ivoiriens s'améliorent. C'est cela notre combat, et la démarche de ce matin s'inscrit dans ce cadre. Comme j'ai dit, prévu de longue date, c'est une formalité administrative, et la lutte et le combat continuent.
Analysts said this maneuver could pave the way for his return to political leadership and possibly a 2025 presidential bid, though legal hurdles remain. As the party eyes a potential dialogue with the government over electoral reforms, Thiam's path to power is far from clear, but his comeback campaign is already underway. Turning to economy, AFDB hosts DBN delegation. A delegation from the Development Bank of Nigeria has wrapped up a 5-day study visit to the African Development Bank headquarters in Abidjan, focused on advancing grain finance and climate resilience. Hosted by the AFDB's Climate Change and Financial Sector Development Department, the visit aimed to share tools and best practices for integrating sustainability into financial operation. As part of the African Finance Alliance on Climate Change, the AFDB provides technical support to financial institutions across the continent to unlock green investment opportunities and manage climate risk. With climate-induced losses in Africa projected to hit $50 billion annually by 2030, the partnership highlights the urgent need for mobilizing domestic capital towards sustainable development. DBN officials hailed the visit as timely and crucial for implementing Nigeria's green finance strategy and expanding access to inclusive, climate-smart financing. You're watching the African News Update on Top Accolade News. Do stay with us. Still to come. Thanks for staying with us. In international relations, Ramaphosa to meet Trump in Washington. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa is set to visit Washington next week for a high-stakes meeting with U.S. President Donald Trump on May 21st amid strained ties between the two nations. The South African presidency says the talks will focus on bilateral, regional, and global issues with hopes for resetting the strategic relationship. Tensions have flared since Trump's return to office in January after cutting all U.S. aid to South Africa over its land reform policy and legal case against Israel at the International Court of Justice. The U.S. also sparked controversy this week by granting refugee status to 49 white South Africans, citing racial discrimination. Despite political rifts, the U.S. remains South Africa's second largest trading partner. Moving to health, Morocco battles worst measles outbreak in years. Morocco is facing its worst measles outbreak in years with over 25,000 suspected cases and at least 184 deaths reported since late 2023. The outbreak began in Souss Massa region but has now spread to all 12 regions, with children under 18 making nearly 70% of infections, many tied to low vaccination coverage. In response, the Health Ministry launched an aggressive nationwide immunization campaign, checking vaccination records of over 10 million children with support from schools and community leaders. While case numbers have declined over the past 10 weeks, new infections persist, particularly in border regions. The World Health Organization warned that Morocco's status as a travel hub could worsen regional spread if vigilance lapses. Turning to entertainment, U.S. court slashes Anna's defamation award from $18 million to $500. The U.S. court has slashed an $18 million defamation award granted to Ghanaian investigative journalist Anna's down to just $500. The case centered an accusation by former Ghanaian MP Kennedy Agyapong, who called Anna's a criminal and linked him to the 2019 murder of fellow journalist Ahmed Swale. The New Jersey court ruled the original award was disproportionate and legally unsustainable after Agyapong's legal team filed for a reduction. Anna's, known for his exposés on corruption, says he will appeal the decision, though his investigative group emphasized that the lawsuit was never about money, but about defending journalistic integrity. Now in sports, Sierra Leone's national women's team gears up for regional competition. The Sierra Leone national senior women's team, the Sierra Queens, has kicked off the training camp ahead of the WAFU Zone A women's tournament set to take place later this month in Mauritania. Blending home-based talent with international players, the team is undergoing intensive preparation as they aim to make a strong showing on the regional stage. The camp marks a crucial phase in their quest to represent Sierra Leone with pride and competitive spirit in the upcoming West African Women's Football Showdown. That concludes our African News Update for today. Stay tuned for more African news and development. Thanks for joining us. I am Ojorome Okocha. Connect and engage with us on all our social media handles. Do have a wonderful day.